Hey, what's up, hustlers? Faviola, the CEO hustler here, always helping you boss up and rise. Let's talk about how to care for your translation, interpreting, and entrepreneurship business during the COVID-19 pandemic. And today, I want to talk to you about what it takes to really getting through, because many of us know that during these difficult times, we become stressed, depressed, overwhelmed. There is so much chaos, so much uncertainty, so much animosity around the world that it's very difficult, very sad, and just things seem to just not get any better. Do you agree? So one of the things that I want you to really stop and think about, as a freelancer, as an interpreter, our industry is a very well and on-demand industry where we are needed. Interpreters, translators, over-the-phone interpreters, American Sign Language interpreters. We are needed and we are required to be in the front lines. However, many of us are just like everyone else. We are human. We are stressed, we are overwhelmed, we have children, we have a family. So making the decision of whether or not to provide the services or make ourselves available is super stressful. And more so when you know you have to work, but you have to balance and really self-analyze and decide, do I want to make my services available? Should I put myself at risk? Can I afford to put myself at risk? And what would be the outcome? So for example, I've been in business for 20 years, and this is the first time that I had to take a step back. Many of you heard me time and time again saying that, I was booked this first and second quarter. But I suffer from autoimmune disorders. Therefore, I had to believe it or not, cancel all of my on-site assignments. And it was heartbreaking for me because I am passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I want to help others. And I know that the LEPs need my services. But I also had to take a step back. Am I doing a service? Am I, being productive? Am I going to be able to perform the services at 100%, knowing that in the back of my head, I am in fear, I am scared. And I don't know that if by being out there, if I'm putting myself at risk, or am I putting someone else's life at risk? Therefore, rather, I had that self-doubt and I was stressing out, and I basically had to make the decision that, unfortunately, I had to make the decision to cancel. I have a young daughter who's only 9. My son just turned 16. My son who's in the Navy who just turned 19. My son who's going to be 24. They need me. And I know that many of you guys are probably saying, like, you're being selfish. Your son is deployed. He's out in the Navy. There's other, the healthcare workers, those in the front lines. They're out there working and risking their lives. I understand, because not only is my son deployed right now, but my husband is also an essential service provider. And therefore, we made the decision that I couldn't risk myself being out there. I couldn't put myself at risk, because at the end of the day, if God forbid something was to happen, my children still need a father, still need a mother. And since my husband is already out there risking his life, being out on the front lines along with my son, we had to make the decision that I needed to stay home. I know that many of you may or may not agree, and I know that many of you guys are dealing with the same situation. So how are you handling it? How are you coping? Because at the end of the day, no money in the world will bring your loved one back. So rather than saying poor me or deciding to stay at home and just doing nothing. I had to become proactive. And the way I did that is basically I had to revamp my business. And not so much revamp it, I should say, but incorporating the services that I was providing before when the recession hit. I brought those services back in order for me to continue to run my business, to continue to do what I love. But rather than going out and exposing myself or exposing others to this virus, I am actually working remotely. So rather than going and doing on-site interpreting assignments, I have the skills, I have the capabilities, I have what it takes, I have the systems in place, I have the processes and procedures to continue to provide, OTPI, VRI, translation services. So what I did is I started marketing my services in January when I started seeing this, this trend, in order for me to provide the services and let my customers know, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be able to provide on-site interpreting services, but I'm available to do this, and that. So I took a different marketing approach. And so thank God I am still working. I'm still providing the services. I am still, helping bridge that language back in communication. And another thing that I also had to do is that since I am no longer producing that same amount of volume, financially, I had to cut back on some, changing those financial habits. And so I made mention of this in my blog where, you have to analyze your business, analyze what you don't need versus what you need, what you can live with, what you can't live with, and start cutting back on certain services. If you don't need them right now, cut back on the unnecessary things in order for you to start creating that financial help that you need, because a lot of us don't need certain services right now, or that additional expense. The other thing to do is, if you have never done over the phone or VRIs, reach out to colleagues or get trained on so that you can implement these services to your clients. Because it's super important that we continue to provide our services, making ourselves available to help break that language and communication. So there's different ways, there's different methods. It's just a matter of tapping in, learning how to do it, learning how to incorporate these situations so that, we don't get ourselves in a pickle, so that we're not stressing over money or, feeling useless, because I feel that way. I feel that when I'm not being productive or when I'm not working, I tend to get into this state of depression or anxiety. The other thing that also helps that many of you guys don't do is, many of us do suffer from PTSD or anxiety or stress, depression, is seek help. Right now the services may not be available on site for counseling or, but you can find different ways online, because a lot of health providers are still providing those services online or over the phone. So seek that help that you need. So very important, that I want you to really, really understand. You can't stress over things that you have no control of. Now, you can be proactive and do the things that you can control. So, for example, right now, if you don't have experience on OTPI or VRI, right now is the time for you to get trained, for you to find the resources, for you to find the help so that you can incorporate those services, so that you can train and implement that. Because God forbid, 5-10 years from now, we run into the same situation or something worse or something like the economic crisis, that you are prepared and that you learn how to implement these things. The other thing too is that, if you already have the experience as an interpreter, OTPI, VRI, but you just don't know how to market your services or how to sell your services or promote your services, the same thing. Get the guidance that you need. I invite you once again, check out my blog, check out my YouTube channel, download your freebies. I have step-by-step guides on how to, market yourself online through social media, how to create a podcast similar to this, how to invite others to join your podcast, how to create a YouTube channel, how to provide services, how to market your service, how to present yourself to your customers, how to change your mindset, how to really create that business platform that you need, that business foundation, so that you don't, find yourself in situations like this. Don't let this situation be a barrier for you to continue to progress in your business. I know that many of you are stressing and saying, oh my God, what do I do now? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I don't have the financial means, or you're basically putting those roadblocks. So you need to stop. You need to change that mindset. You need to, focus on the things that you can do right now at this moment. Don't let anxiety, depression, stress overwhelm you or take over your health, your life. That's the worst thing that we can do. So it's super important that we create that routine. In life, I always say, in life and in business, we're always going to have changes. There's always going to be hurdles. There's always going to be chaos. There's always going to be barriers. But how we handle each situation is what's going to make us that much better. So I invite you to read the last couple of blog posts that I uploaded in my blog, where I provide you with some helpful tips to get through this situation, to help you out, to craft a plan to help you out. And if you need help, please reach out, talk. I am always available. Those of you that follow me, you know that I respond to every single message. It may not be right at that particular moment, but I try to respond as much as I can. I try to provide you with enough tips to help you through. And like I said, there's going to be situations where we might not be able to get through them, or we feel that we won't be able to get through them, but it's up to us to just change that mindset and really, really focus on what's in front of you. Take a deep breath. If you start feeling that anxiety, that overwhelm, go out for a walk. We can still go out for walks in our neighborhood, in our backyard, in our front yard, but don't let the situation, empower you. Don't let it take that shine away from you. That's the worst thing that we can do. So I hope that this information helps you. Like I said, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And as long as we don't lose hope, we're one step ahead. And the best thing that you guys can do right now is focus on creating that business foundation. Get trained on doing over the phone, on doing BRI. It's the same thing as doing on-site, with the exception that, when you're doing over the phone, you're doing it in a consecutive mode, which many of you that provide medical interpretation services, you're still doing it in consecutive mode. The VRI, the same thing, it's a voice over IP or video conferencing interpreting, however you want to call it. Just get set up, get the tools, get the resources, get the training that you need so that you can start bringing in some moolah, some dinero, some money into your business. So don't let this be a barrier. I cannot stress that enough, okay? If you need help, if you don't have a budget, or you're on a budget, or have a limited budget, I invite you to join my Entrepreneur Cafe Biz private group. I am uploading lots of training videos forms, templates, step-by-step guides to help you get through this journey. If you have the financial means to invest in any of my trainings, right now, all of my trainings, I am making them one-on-one to help you, to dedicate the time to you so that we can create proven steps, processes, procedures, that foundation that you so much need for your business. I am running out of breath. As you can see, I am trying my hardest to stay motivated, to stay positive. One of the biggest things is having your son being deployed out at sea, not knowing what's going on. If you're a mother, if you're a parent, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you know what? Life goes on. And we have to focus on what's in front of us and prepare for what's coming ahead, and enjoy every single moment of it. So you guys have an amazing, amazing day. Please stay home. We are in it together. Let's get ready to boss up and rise, and let's utilize this time to change our mindset, to refocus, and to really create that business of our dreams. And like I always say, boss up and rise.